Hi, welcome to Philosmos. My name is Mark. I'm a part of this movement. You can also be a part of this movement. What is this movement? This movement is a group of young minds coming together, wanting to inspire a culture of questioning among today's society. Why? Why do you want to do this? This is what we have seen is that we have the same system um, of receiving or gathering the information and ideas we have about society. And our first source is our parents. We have our parents that teach us what they teach us, and being the first source before we've seen or learned anything about the world, we immediately hold on to what they say. And then we go to school and we are taught information about the world before we have experienced it, and we hold on to these beliefs. And then thirdly, our third source is through our social circles, where we realize that through our family and friends, we learn the ideas that we hold. And what happens is usually we tend to latch on to the ideas that are most widely held. So it's not a question of what the idea is, it's a question of how many people believe this idea. We live in a culture that celebrates magnitude over essence. It's found in our celebration of democracy, where you see that people are more concerned with how many people want to vote for a government or people, as opposed to why these people want to vote for this person or this government. So, the question I want to ask to you today, the question I want to put to you today is, does your religion work for you? Why? Well, when you look at society, you will find that people seem to believe different things, and yet we seem to coexist. The only real contrast or conflict rather is people wanting to harm others for not accepting the same ideas as them. But the very ability to accept different ideas, them wanting to harm, is because it's possible. It seems possible to believe in things or have ideas that contradict one another. So maybe the first question we should ask is, what is religion? What is religion? The dictionary defines religion as the set of principles that govern the natural laws of the universe. Furthermore, adding to that, you will find that religion is the basis of, or provides the basis rather, for what good and evil is. That definition, you will find, accommodates the atheist as well, because you will find that even though an atheist does not believe that God decides what good and evil is, they have their own understanding of this is good and this is bad, this is what works for me and this is what doesn't work for me. Why do we have that? It would seem that we seem to need this. Why do we need this? This, you will find, is born of our realization, or assumption rather, that we are separate from the world and our surroundings. And in being separate, we find that the world and our surroundings can either harm us or can provide joy. So, good and evil is essentially a navigator that allows us to choose what is good and what is evil. Now, what you will find in religion is, or rather, the only difference between the atheist and the religious person is the religious person, the person who attaches to, like, or assumes the idea of a God, is that they have this God decide what good and evil is. There is this idea that there is an absolute good and evil, and God is who observes or who chooses this good and evil. They merely must submit themselves to this good and evil. And yet you find that we are capable, seen through the atheist, of choosing our own good and evil. So why I want you to investigate in your own life as to whether the good and evil you hold, is it because of a personal revelation that this is bad for me, or this is evil because of an experience I have had, or is it because of what a collective of people believe to be good and evil. If that's the case, I want to ask you: is why? Firstly, why do you have that separate understanding of good and evil? Why do you have a personal, private understanding of what good and evil is? Why are you even able to choose to submit yourself to? It's a choice, basically. Why are you able to choose whether or not you can submit yourself to that good and evil? We do not innately, or rather, the religious person does not innately live or according to the good and evil they understand as being provided by their God. They still have to choose, they still have to learn firstly what that good and evil is before they submit to it. So I want to ask you, or invite you rather, to ask from today, the good and evil, the good and bad that you observe is good and bad. Is it good and bad because it personally harms you in any way, or due to an experience you have had where it has harmed you? Or is it so because of what has been said? Consider the evidence, basically. So, yeah, that's what I want you to ask from today. In closing, I just want you to remember that anything you're looking for is already within you.